Hello everyone and welcome to Movie Snobs. I'm Kyle Glockner.
And I'm Cameron Button.
And today we have something a little special to talk about. If you've seen this recent episode of Animanga, you'll see that I talked about Dragon Ball Super Broly, the newest movie in the Dragon Ball franchise, and the first Dragon Ball Super movie. That should be noted, because Battle of Gods and Resurrection F were both Z.
Right.
So we want to talk about that movie today, just very in-depth. There will be a lot of spoilers. So if you'd like a non-spoiler review, my Animanga segment has no spoilers at all. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, go see that, because it's definitely worth a fresh watch. I will say that. So generally, to start, what'd you think of the movie?
It was really, really good. Probably one.
Yeah.
Not probably. It was the best Dragon Ball movie.
I hesitated to call it the best Dragon Ball movie when I first saw it. I've seen it twice. In theaters. I think you've only seen it once.
Yeah.
I watched it the day it came out, and then I saw it like 3 days ago. Watching it the second time, yeah, it definitely was still amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to call it the best, but at the same time, I mean, the movie just boils down to, for the latter, I mean, it's based on one fight.
Yeah.
But there is a lot more than that. It's definitely up there.
Mm.
Certainly up there. It's really up to personal opinion if it's the best. Definitely top three. Definitely top three. Battle of Gods, also a very good one.
Mm-hmm.
Resurrection F.
We don't talk about that.
That one was okay. And then, yeah, but definitely top three. So, I think we should start with the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we start with King Cold arriving on Planet Vegeta with, it warmed my heart to see him, the Ginyu Force, Zarbon and Dodoria. It warmed my heart to see them, and they did their pose. I was like, oh, they're back. But it starts off, and he's like, hey, I'm retiring. My son Frieza's gonna take over. By the way, he's really temperamental. Don't mess with him. And then King Vegeta's like,
Why is this spoiled child in charge now?
But that is, honestly, that opening scene, because that was one of the scenes we got in the trailer, that is some of my favorite Frieza, of just him being cold, cruel, and merciless, because that's when he introduces the Scouters that we've come to know from the beginning of Z and such. And he's talking about them, he's like, oh, these are great for seeing your enemies, and oh, what's that? There's Saiyans with weapons trained on me. Oh, he has a power level of 2,000. Oh, that's cute. And then just destroys, like, 10 Saiyans.
Instantly.
Just boop, 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 boop. And King Vegeta's just like,
Well, to be fair, he kills more later in life. But...
It's true. Give the movie, like, 20 minutes. But, also, just quick side note. Want to know something that really made me angry about this movie? Battle power instead of power levels.
Yeah, that was...
It's one of those minor things that, like, the moment Frieza said, oh, you can see someone's battle power, I was like, sorry, what can I see?
And then they just keep saying
Do you mean power level?
And they just kept saying
I think you mean power level, Frieza, not battle power. It was just such a weird... And I didn't see the subbed version. I will say that. So I don't know if, like, it was the same in both the subbed and dubbed versions, but, like, power level is just such an iconic word for Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
You even have the meme of it's over 9,000, which is pretty much a dub exclusive thing. Mm-hmm. And Super's really had a lot of fun with Dragon Ball memes in the dub.
Absolutely.
So I'm just confused as to why they didn't say battle power.
If you remember back in Dragon Ball when Goku's fighting Tien Shinhan.
I never watched Dragon Ball.
Oh, okay, so when Goku's fighting Tien, he goes, yeah, I call it my battle power. It's how I, like, raise my power to go up to my opponent.
It just became so iconic in Z that I was just confused, because that's, like, the whole thing. But anyway.
Yeah, because...
So yeah, then we get into a callback to the original Broly movie, where King Vegeta, he's like, oh, Broly, he's stronger than my son. It's kind of different, because he's like, why is he in the same room as my son? And I will say... rather than just being this arrogant king and just like, oh, well, I don't want anyone stronger than my son, He gives a solid, as much of an excuse as it is at the time, he gives a very solid reasoning for sending Broly off planet.
Yeah.
Because he tells Paragus that with how high Broly's power level is, he could he won't be able to control it.
Yeah.
He'll go berserk and he could be a danger to the planet and everyone, not just like a threat to King Vegeta. And Paragus, I mean, he's kind of like, my boy, no, don't do that. And then, he flies off and goes and takes that Saiyan engineer, Beats, with him.
I feel bad for Beats.
Rip poor Beats. Paragus goes to Vampa with Beats, and they find Broly. And I forget if they actually got a power level reading on him at that time.
They did. I think he was at 9,000.
Yeah, he was at 9,000, which...
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And it was really funny. I liked the little kind of foreshadowing they did when they get on Vampa and Paragus is talking to Beats and he goes, "There's no such thing as a trustworthy Saiyan." And then they realize they're stranded and Paragus is just like, "Well, I know one way you can conserve food." And he just shoots Beats in the chest and I was like, well, I guess we've lost this character.
I was looking forward to learning about Beats.
Honestly, Beats seemed like a cool dude.
He did.
He seemed pretty casual.
He did.
But then we jump forward. I think it was 5 years. I think it was 5 or 3 years, something
Give
around
or
that
take,
time.
yeah.
And we see Bardock and a Saiyan who I don't think was named.
The one
who was in the ship with him. I don't remember his name.
No.
They're flying back, and basically they're just having a conversation, because they're like, hey, why would Frieza summon us all back to the planet? Like, what does he have to say? And this is where I love this movie and what it did with Dragon Ball Minus way better, because in Dragon Ball Minus, Bardock is just kind of like, yeah, we should send Kakarot off planet. And Gina's like, why? He's like, we just kind of should.
Reasons. Yeah, no reasons.
But like, he's sitting there and he's thinking and he's calculating and he still has like that kind of cold demeanor about him, because he says everything like very matter of factly, like, well, he's like, because the one saying he's kind of complaining, he's like, your scouter's on, he can hear you. And he's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But he's because they're talking about like, well, why would Frieza be calling us back to the planet? And he's like, if he had weapons to give us, why would he need us all back here for that? And if he wanted to tell us something, why not just use the radio?
Yeah.
And that's when Bardock's like, something's kind of fishy.
The red
and
flags.
Then they land on the planet, and that's when someone tells Bardock that Frieza's men have been asking around about the Super Saiyan and the Super Saiyan God, which is a nice little tidbit they added.
It was.
About Super Saiyan God. And that's when Bardock's like, oh
no.exe.
No. And then he goes and talks to Gine, and we get a little back and forth between them that I don't know if it was in Minus or not. I don't remember. But they talk about Raditz and how he was on a mission with Prince Vegeta. And then Bardock's even like, oh man, I wouldn't want to be alone with him for very long. And then he's like, how's Kakarot doing? And then he's in the chamber, because they talk about how, he's a bit of a late bloomer. And
he's a low-level Saiyan.
Yeah, and that's when Bardock just gets like deadly serious, and he's like, at night, we're going to take a pod and we're going to send him off planet. And Guinea's like, well, why? And he's like, I have a bad feeling about what Frieza's doing. I think death is coming for us very soon. And he even rationalizes with it, like, Kakarot's just going to be sent off planet.
To a little tiny planet where the average power
he's
level's
probably
2.
going to die anyway. Might as well send him somewhere safe. And then Bardock has a line when they're taking Goku away that...
Is it the...
It's so cliche, and I hate it, and I love it at the same time, because Gina's like, why are you doing this, Bardock? He's like, I've been destroying things all my life.
Oh.
Maybe I'd just like to protect something for once, especially if it's my little Kakarot.
I was like, yeah.
When I heard that movie, I was just like...
You were so close to getting him, but...
I didn't hate it. I was just kind of like...
Where was
Whatever. It's fine.
What form of media revealed that Goku's father was a scientist? Because I don't remember.
It was the Bardock's. It was the father of Goku special.
Was it that one? Oh,
I believe. Yes. And that's the thing is they play Bardock up as like a thinker, and he's not like this inquisitorial guy.
No,
like,
I can't see any
He's not the
Saiyan.
Russian Saiyans that just randomly appear when they're talking about Broly's power level. Don't get me started on those. That was hilarious. But yeah, and so like they send him off, and Bardock's even like, if I'm wrong about this, I will go get him, and then like.
It made sense. Everything he did made sense.
Yeah, and they send him off, and I mean, there's a couple of weird things with like. Goku has Saiyan armor, and he seems like he's old enough to know what's going on, which doesn't exactly line up with Dragon Ball. But
Goku was a baby when
you could write some of that out. Well, technically, I learned that a lot of the stuff with Grandpa Gohan wasn't actually in the manga.
Oh.
That was a lot of anime exclusive stuff that I learned. So I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen Dragon Ball, so I don't know exactly. But I was just curious about that as to like how much Grandpa Gohan stuff. And how much Dragon Ball Minus actually kind of fits into the manga's established canon. Because I know the scene with Bardock was in the manga, which, fun fact, that was one of the main criticisms about Dragon Ball Minus, is that, like, it took out the cool scene of Bardock fighting off the Frieza forces.
Yeah.
And that wasn't necessarily in this movie. However,
you did see him there.
There's some discussion I've heard, because did you notice that it cuts right from them sending Goku off, Bardock's in his regular armor, all fine. And then it cuts to Frieza, and then they're like, well, we didn't hear anything. Do you want to go through the destruction? And Frieza's like, of course I do. And then you see a bunch of soldiers in the atmosphere, and it's like, well, why would they be there? And then you see Frieza throw the ball, and then it cuts immediately to Bardock, like, shooting a beam at it. And, like, his armor's broken, and so it's like...
I think they took part of Dragon Ball Minus where he actually did fight the Frieza Force.
Well, but like it just feels there's even in the movie there's like missing scenes. Like it's clear that like maybe Bardock still tried to convince them just based on his bad thoughts, and they were like, nah, because it already seemed like they kind of were like, you're just overthinking things. And like, but how did you feel when Planet Vegeta blew up?
I mean, like, we've seen it 3 times be blown up, like anime, 2 movies, and now this, so that's the 4th time. I mean, it was good. It was, I mean,
it got me a bit.
Really?
Honestly, like just I don't know, just like, I mean, it's the thing is like, I knew what was gonna happen, obviously, because I've seen Dragon Ball Z through Super.
Yeah.
But
we all know.
Just the way it did it, and the shot that did it was the reflection of the explosion in Freeze Sky with just the power level dropping to 0. And then it cut to like the Scouter Vision, just like the drop to 0. I was like,
that was actually a really good shot, and I love that because that just showed every life force extinguishing out in front of him. Literally in front of Frieza.
Man, that got me. I was like, oh man, that's rough. And because then they cut to Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, and those other 2 Saiyans who also didn't get names. And Nappa's like, God, the meteor hit our planet. It's all gone. And then Vegeta's like, no, I'll never get to be King Vegeta. And he just bites into his fruit or whatever he has.
I mean, technically, he is King Vegeta now. Like,
but it's kind of funny because he's just like, oh man, now I'm not gonna be king. That's what I'm concerned with.
Not my race, my planet.
It's also through some of those scenes that we learn that our Vegeta is Prince Vegeta IV.
Yes, we did learn that.
There were 2 Vegetas before King Vegeta, and that was really interesting. So like,
that kind of gives you an idea of the lifespan of the Frieza race.
And like depending on how when King Cold found him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because King Vegeta's outfit, his regal outfit, looks very similar to King Cold's, if you notice.
Yeah.
Maybe like
that's royal armor.
Yeah, I think maybe King Cold might have dubbed the first Vegeta.
Yeah, that could have been.
Because might have been like, name you after the planet. That'll be simple.
Well, yeah, because the planet was.
There's a lot of stuff that goes on with that also goes into that other Bardock special that no one likes to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then because like Vegeta mentions Tarble once again, including him into the canon, but just not doing anything with him ever. But it was kind of funny how he's just like, didn't you have a brother? Yeah, he must have been off planet. Oh well. And then they mentioned how Raditz knew that Goku was sent off planet by his mom.
Yeah.
And so it's nice because Raditz kept in contact with his mommy.
I'm curious, what happened to those 2 Saiyans?
I think it's just kind of assumed that they, because I mean it was years until it was about 20 years before Raditz landed on Earth.
True,
I
but
believe.
I mean, like,
because Goku was around 20
yeah,
during that time, I believe.
Nappa is there, and he's older. Way...
Yeah, well, I mean, I just assumed that they died at some point.
That's fair.
While they were taking a planet, or Frieza might have killed him.
Yeah,
I mean, he could have just been mad at him or something and just been like,
boop. Boop. Yeah, because it's not that weird for Frieza to just.
Yeah, it is interesting though, because I mean, they could
Be around.
bring them up later. That'd be pretty interesting. They'd be old like Nappa. Nappa was old when he came to Earth already, so like they're gonna be up there. They're gonna be like Paragus age.
Yeah, I was gonna say Paragus. Yeah.
So then we cut to the present with Goku and Vegeta having one of the most beautiful just sparring matches between them. Just the way that the camera was going over the water and just like cutting between them. And you have like Bulma, Whis, and Beerus, and Bola all relaxing on Bulma's island cottage.
Yeah.
As Whis like to call it. Whis is like, so Goku, why do you try to get stronger? And he talks about the Tournament of Power and how he's like, yeah, that really showed me that there's a bunch of stronger people out there, and that made me want to get stronger. And then Whis asks Vegeta, why do you want to get stronger? And he gave a very interesting answer. Because all throughout Z, and even throughout most of Super, anytime you asked Vegeta about, like, oh, well, why are you training? Why do you want to get stronger? It was always...
Catch up to Goku or pass him.
Yes, to surpass Kakarot. This was one of the first times that wasn't his immediate goal. It was in case Frieza shows back up, which led into a hilarious spat between the two of them, with Vegeta just being like, he could come back at any time and just
get us.
And Goku's like, would he really do that, though? Do you really think he did? And he's like, yes! Of course he would do that! And Goku's like, do you really think he'd be that much stronger than us? And he's like, yes!
We kind of held hands when we punched Jiren in the face,
Oh,
so like...
that conversation was hilarious, because he's like, man, do you really think he can be that much stronger than us? And Vegeta's like, yes!
The only reason they won against Frieza was because he couldn't maintain gold. Now, Frieza doesn't take any effort.
Talk about that a little later. That gets into a fun part of the movie. But, and then that's when Trunks contacts Bulma and is like, hey, someone stole the Dragon Balls. They figure out it's Frieza. And they're like, let's go to the Arctic and get them, which is where we get into our main setting. Then we get to my favorite scene of the entire movie. Because, you know, it's Bulma, Whis, Goku, and Vegeta in the, like, Bulma's little airship.
Yeah.
And I think it was Goku who brought it up to Bulma. So he was like, so Bulma, why were you getting the Dragon Balls together anyway? And she's just like, I don't want to talk about it, Goku. And she's like, come on, we gotta know at this point. And she's like, all right, well, I wanted to make myself look 5 years younger. And Goku's like, huh?
Goku's...
I liked how Vegeta didn't even react at all. Like,
it's his wife.
It's like, but did he know? That's what I want to know. Like, did he know about this?
I feel like...
And he just wasn't saying anything.
I feel like he would have, because he would have noticed, because he lives with her.
Yeah.
And, like...
Or, like, she might have sent, like, Trunks to get him, but, like, I want to imagine he knew. But then Whis is talking to her, and he's like, well, if you're going to go for 5 years younger, why not just do an even decade? And then Bulma goes into this tangent about how if she did more than 5 years, it would be too noticeable. And she didn't want people to be like, oh, you look 10 years younger. And she didn't want people to notice it. And then Goku kind of makes a joke. But it cuts to a close-up of Bulma's mouth. And then immediately cuts to Frieza's mouth.
Yeah.
And when I was watching that, I was like, that was a very interesting cut they did there. And so we get a shot of Frieza with Berry Blue in the room. And then, what was his name? Little Yellow Antenna Man. It was some sort of fruit.
Of course. It's fruit.
Of course. Yellow Antenna Man.
That's what his name is.
It's not Lenmo, because that was Old Man that comes in a bit. We'll call him... I don't
Raspberry. Was there a Raspberry here?
That was back in Z.
Oh, that's right.
He comes in, and he's like, hey, Frieza, we got... They had 6 of them already collected. We have the radar. We know where the 7th one is. And he's like, yes, very good. And then his little minion guy is like, so if I may ask, what is your wish going to be? And Frieza's like, oh, just go ahead and take a guess. And
he's like, immortality.
He's like, is it immortality? And Frieza's like, oh no, I've been there, done that. I realized in my time in hell that would be a terrible idea.
I don't understand though. Why would that be a terrible idea? You just never have to go back.
It's because listen, Cameron. We're not debating the meaning of life in this Broly discussion.
But maybe that's what makes it such a good movie.
Basically, yeah, Frieza's just kind of like, oh, if I can't die, it wouldn't be worth it. And then he's like, oh, well, maybe you want to never take damage. And he's like, oh, that would take the fun out of everything. Which is where you really see Goku's influence on him over the past...
however many years he's been with him.
Especially during the Tournament of Power, where they bonded a bit. And then, like, this guy is clearly, like, he's getting nervous because he knows how ruthless Frieza is. Because they talk about how, you know, he's killed a couple Frieza forces just because they had bad breath. And you can tell this guy really has the idea of, like, what he's going to say because he's really nervous about it. And then Berry Blue just comes up, she's like, oh, I know what his wish is. And, like, Frieza gets kind of like he's like she's like, his emperor would like to be taller. And then you see Yellow and he's like,
I thought...
He's like, why did you say that? And Frieza's just like...
I thought Frieza would have just shot Berry Blue right then and there.
That really goes into the... that really brings up something curious, because you see a shot of Berry Blue in the beginning of the movie when they land on Planet Vegeta.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like... It really makes you wonder what the relationship between the two of them is.
Yeah, like why he didn't just like
it's clear that she's been around for a long time, but like does she have some sort of like nanny relationship? I think it could be generally assumed that King Cold probably didn't do that much. I just don't really get that vibe. Frieza needed to have some sort of like mother figure.
Maybe she...
And I think that might have been Berry Blue, because like
she talks back.
He's destroyed people for less.
Yeah.
And his height is a very sensitive subject. But the thing is, he says very proudly to Yellow Antenna Man, he's like, I'm going to wish to grow exactly 5 centimeters taller. And he's like, why just 5 centimeters? Because I don't want it to be noticeable.
And then he brings up the point, why not just stay in your second form? You'll be taller.
Because I want to be it in my normal form and my golden form. But this movie made a parallel between Bulma and Frieza.
Yeah.
And just implied that they are the same level of petty. But then we get into the Broly bit, where Chilai and Lenmo, two of the all-stars of this film, are looking for people with high power levels to join Frieza's army. And they get a hit on the distress signal that Paragus had been putting on. They even mentioned, they're like, that's a really old frequency. Like, what's going on with that? They land on there, and they find Paragus, who, like, it's been 40 years. And they're like, whoa, he has a power level of 4,200. That's amazing. And then, like, they're like, hey, we're with the Frieza force. And, you know, Paragus obviously knows who that is. So he's like, oh, so you can get us off of this planet. And then, like, they get attacked by, like, one of the weird bug monsters. Paragus is like, hey, yo, Broly! And then Broly just, from miles away, just Supermans in and just wrecks the bug. And Chilai and Lenmo are just like, whoa. Because his power level goes off the charts. Okay, it doesn't break the scouter, it just flats it out, which was interesting.
I'm surprised they don't break anymore.
Listen, they probably got tired of that old gimmick. But yeah, so they get Broly, and that's when we really start to see just what kind of character this Broly is. He's a very pure person. He's kind-hearted. He's innocent.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, he's the Goku without the brain damage.
It's scary how accurate that is. But yeah, you just get this Broly who like doesn't like all he's known is Paragus. And so, like, interacting with Chilai and Lenmo offers some really cute scenes. Like, when she offers him, like, I assume it's, like, a granola bar or some like, food. Ration bar.
Yeah.
And he just, like, doesn't know it. She's like, it's food. And Broly's just like,
yeah, he doesn't understand.
What's that? And, like, he tries to eat it with the wrapper and, like,
you
just see how little he, like, knows. And it's wholesome.
It is.
That's the best way I can put it. And that's when you know that you're like, all right. This isn't old Broly. This is something new.
An actual
Is it
character.
better? Let's see. And then they meet up with Frieza. He's like, oh, you're going to work for me now. And then they introduced the scene where a lot of people noticed in the trailer, Broly's collar.
Yeah.
That Paragus put on him. And there's a lot of opinions about this in the movie, but like you can see when Paragus pulls out the remote to explain it, Broly looks terrified.
Yeah, which is
like
fair.
He is like grabbing at the kid and he's like, no, don't do it. And like, because Paragus explains, he's like, this is how I use it to like rein him in and control him because he's a bit unstable with his power. And at that point, you're kind of like, whoa. But you don't know the full extent of it. You don't see that until they're in the cafeteria. And even then, Paragus is kind of like, Broly, we're here for eating, not talking. And Chilai is kind of like, whoa, you need to dial it back a bit. Dude, and Paragus just kind of gives her like don't talk to me and my son that way. And then like, that one Frieza Force member comes up and he's all like trying to flirt with Chilai. And then Broly's like, she doesn't want you to be here. Leave her alone. He's just like the big bear.
He's the White Knight.
And I love when like the guy goes to punch Broly and Broly's he's just like hey! And Broly's just standing there, but like he's starting to get mad and Paragus like, Broly, no. And then like Broly he just like chokeholds, grabs him, and that's when everyone's like, what's going on? And then that's when Paragus shocks him and like he described it as a light jolt of electricity. That was a little more than a light jolt, Paragus.
Broly was on the ground.
Yeah, like that. He was
hurting.
It was a rough scene because you're like, this needs to stop. Like Broly's in legitimate pain. Like you felt bad for him.
Are parental services a thing in the Frieza Force?
Listen, I don't know if they're a thing on Vampa, seeing as there's only the two of them. But yeah, and then they have the scene where like Chilai kind of yells at Paragus and like she steals the remote and then crushes it, which gave me a lot of similar Krillin remote with 18 Cell Saga vibes of like, on paper that's a very good idea, but you shouldn't have did that.
Yeah, there's like Broly would have killed that guy if it wasn't for.
Oh yeah.
But I mean,
yeah. Broly probably would have thrown that guy out of a window. The vacuum of space would have killed everyone, and the movie would have been over.
Except for Broly, because of course. Why?
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you have the scene of them, the three of them, Broly, Chilai, and Lenmo, just sitting in the like barracks. They're just talking, and like you see, Broly has water.
Yeah, he's never understood that.
But you hear the story of his fur about.
Oh, that made me sad.
And the little like grass fur creature that Broly befriended.
Little.
But then he's like, yeah, Dad didn't like that, and so he said it was playing and not training, so he shot him in the air. And then Bod was never friendly with Broly again, and like you see how sad he gets. But then it's a really weird contrast in the scene because then Chilai and Lenmo just kind of start like talking trash on Paragus. They're like, yeah, he's really mean to you. And then Broly goes, you shouldn't talk about my father that way. That is rude. And I was kind of like, whoa.
It's kind of like
I mean, obviously, like Paragus is all Broly knew.
For
40 years.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was just a really curious scene for me because I was like, huh.
I think it's like one of those things where like an abuser gets like, it's like, oh, they're not as bad as they seem, kind of thing. Like that's what they were kind of going for there.
I didn't really get that vibe in a way. I mean, it was obviously a very father-son relationship. It's like he's like he still loved his because his dad obviously
loved him,
kept him alive.
Yeah, because he could have just shot him too and just like
he went all the way out to Vampa, like to get him. I think that because that kind of gets like brushed aside into all the like shot caller and like revenge on Vegeta and stuff like that. It's like Paragus did all that just to go get his son.
Yeah,
like he clearly loves him, but like
apparently Saiyans have a really big thing for their kids. Well, except for Goku, but most Saiyans have a big thing for their kids.
He tries.
Does he though?
But then we get to the point where Frieza's like, "Oh, I'm going to Earth," and then he's like, "You can get your revenge on Vegeta," because that's when he tells Paragus. He's like, "Oh yeah, Vegeta's still alive." So then they get to Earth, and he's like, "Oh, hello everyone," and they're like, "Hey Frieza, what you doing with those Dragon Balls?" He's like, "Oh, that's not important right now." It's like, look at these Saiyans I found. It's like, this one really hates you, Vegeta.
Get ready for a fight. Let's go.
And then Paragus is like, "It was you, Vegeta. The crimes of your father now rest on your shoulders. Blah, 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 speech." And then Goku's just kind of like, "He didn't really do any of that. You need to calm down." And then as Broly just starts getting like, He starts getting angry, and then he goes immediately for Vegeta. And that was one of the key things that a lot of people notice about it, is that Broly's main conflict wasn't with Goku, as opposed to the old Broly movie. Mm-hmm. And so that was already kind of like even the fight is going to be different. So that's when the Vegeta and Broly fight starts, because it goes with Vegeta in his base form and Broly in his base form for a while, and they're going, and it just looks beautiful.
It really does. And like,
if there's one thing to take away from this movie, it's beautiful.
They have a lot of nice shots, gorgeous thing.
Man, and like they went back to like the Cell Saga style designs for everyone. Like when Broly punches Vegeta and Vegeta gets that little smirk on his face. It's like, ooh,
you can see he's getting excited.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Saiyans.
Yeah. It keeps going for a bit, just like Vegeta is fighting him, and then Vegeta he's kind of getting annoyed. He goes Super Saiyan, and as much as people talk about Super Saiyan God, just red hair, Super Saiyan Blue, red hair, I never knew I wanted Super Saiyan with green hair. Not even Berserk, just that dark green. Until the shot of Vegeta going Super Saiyan when his hair turned green for some reason for a second.
Yeah,
it looked really good. And I was like, whoa, I want that.
Yeah.
Super Saiyan God Blue
green,
orange. I don't know, something. It just looked really cool.
It did.
But then he goes Super Saiyan, and it just looks so good. But it's funny, cutting back to Paragus when he's like,
what's happening?
What just happened? And Frieza's like, wait, can Broly not go Super Saiyan? And Paragus like, the legend? And Frieza's just like, yeah,
no.
Can he not do that? And Paragus is like, what?
I mean, look, Super Saiyan's been passed around like candy.
Yeah. And then I think it's around that time where Paragus realized he doesn't have the remote anymore, and he's like,
yeah, because he tries to call him back, because he's like, last fight, let's go.
No. It's like, this could be bad. And then, they fight in Super Saiyan for a bit, and that's when I believe the line came in of when Vegeta's like, damn it, he's learning as he fights. And you're like,
it might have been before that, because that's why he had to go Super Saiyan, because...
Was that then?
Yeah, because he was getting punched into a mountain.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't remember if he was Super Saiyan there or not.
Nah.
But then they fight that for a bit, and Broly is still adapting. And then Vegeta just kind of breaks off, and he just starts shooting upward, and you see a really weird aura around Vegeta, and it goes up, starts to get a little slimmer in his design, and then Super Saiyan God Vegeta. We finally have it for the first time in the anime.
Yeah, it felt good to see.
Because they brought it out in the Future Trunks Zamasu arc in the manga, and it made just as little sense then. That's always been my one criticism about Super Saiyan God Vegeta, is I was like, it doesn't make sense.
And I think they finally revealed that invisible ki can be fired out from God.
Oh yeah, that was great, because he was just he wasn't even there was no pomp and circumstance of Vegeta's attacks in Super Saiyan God. He was just pelting Broly with energy, and he was like, ow, 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 and then Vegeta has this weird where he's just pathetic, and then he just blasts Broly, and even Goku's like, Vegeta,
no,
stop. And then Broly goes into what, 5 mountains,
give or take,
and just finally because he sends him deep into the water, and that's when Goku's like, Vegeta, why'd you do that?
You'd think for someone who lost their entire race, one more Saiyan.
Yeah, Vegeta's thought process is a little curious. But that's when Frieza's like, is that it? And Paragus like, I think so. And Frieza's like, worthless. But then that's when you start to see the fire in Broly's eyes, and that's when Vegeta and Goku, they're like, what? And then Broly just rises up and just goes up to Vegeta, and that's when Vegeta punches him, and Broly just doesn't flinch, and Vegeta's like,
it's like,
oh no. And then that's when Broly starts taking over the fight and dominating Vegeta, and Vegeta's more on the defensive now, and I was like, whoa. But they address the other issue with Broly, his absurd power.
Right.
Because it cuts back to Frieza and Paragus, and they're like, and Paragus explains, Broly's basically Super Saiyan 4. Not exactly.
No,
Calm down. It's not canon. GT's still terrible.
Never forget.
But he talks about how Broly took on the power of a great ape, but he maintained himself, his composure, and didn't lose all control, which is a really interesting trait to give to Broly. You know, maintaining control,
the most
being
angry.
in check with your power.
Yeah, the most.
That was
angry.
interesting, but no, that was super cool to explain how he got his power.
Instead of just,
high.
it's a legend.
Yeah, he's kind of fighting Vegeta for a bit, and then that goes on for a while, and then Vegeta's like, I'm losing now, and then that's when Goku steps up.
Yeah.
And that's when we get that shot of him taking off the jacket, and he's like doing his little hops, cracking his neck, and then Broly, we get some more revealing shots of Broly, so that we can actually know that it's him, as opposed to what we got in that initial like March trailer that teased the movie.
Yeah, because no one knew at all who that was.
Exactly. And then we get to that, and then we get base form Goku fighting this powered up Broly, which was, you know, a little
off, yeah.
Interesting. Goku goes Super Saiyan for a bit. The fight continues. It was in Super Saiyan, I believe. It might have been base form again. It kind of blurs a bit.
Yeah.
But we get that really cool shot of first person Broly as he's fighting Goku. And like the transition to that was just so smooth that like
you didn't
for
know.
a minute I was like, oh
yeah, like once Goku started firing at the camera, that's when I noticed. I was like, oh, this is Broly.
And it even goes into that, like even to in like when he's pummeling Goku into the mountain, and then it like kind of pans out from there.
It was so
and then, you know, Goku goes Super Saiyan God, and he didn't quite get a new attack. He swiped it from Hit.
Yeah.
The thing Hit did to Jiren in the Tournament of Power.
Goku really does steal all the techniques.
He like the thing that they did with Super Saiyan God in this movie, which I don't know if they did it in the Tournament of Power or not. Goku's fighting style changed when he was in Super Saiyan God.
Yeah, because his fingers are up instead of
he went more to a like throwing Broly and like using Broly's attacks against him, as opposed to punch, 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 beam, 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 beam.
I think it's because God is so fast and lean that you you can do that.
Yeah, and that was really cool to see, because I was just thinking, like, around the time I was going to see this movie, I was like, yeah, it's really weird that, like, because Dragon Ball kind of went from martial arts to punch, 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 beam, 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 I have bigger energy ball than you.
Death ball.
But with this in this movie, it was really interesting to see Goku just, like, using a different fighting style and, like, using that now to... He's not necessarily overpowering Broly.
He's just using his own strength.
He's taking advantage of his attacks, and that was really cool. But then he does the energy thing where he like gets his hands and he like immobilizes Broly, and I said, you know, that was my the Bulma Frieza thing was hilarious. It was my favorite for fun scene. This was one of my favorite just lines in the movie, because that's when Goku just kind of goes there. He's like, hey,
calm down,
listen, like,
we like peace.
I know that's not how we do. Like, we solve things peacefully here. Then he says I've met a lot of bad guys in my life.
Yeah.
I don't think you're one of them. You don't need to do this. We can talk this out. And like you can see Broly, like it starts to get to him just a bit.
Yeah.
It starts to break through to him, because at this point he is like raging, and he kind of.
But he hasn't been completely lost yet.
But like you see it in his eyes. He starts to like calm down, and it's just a really nice moment with Goku. And
because Goku doesn't do that usually.
Yeah, like he's all about the fight in Super, and like this really kind of brought him back
to his roots. I'm going to let you go if you like aren't going to destroy my planet or my friends.
Yeah, like he was like, we can talk this out. Like, this doesn't need to be like this. Then Broly gets back into his rage and reverses the energy hold on Goku and gets into one of the best parts of the fight, where like he just like slams Goku to the ground, like Goku rolls away, and Broly, I love that shot of like him just like stomping on him like this big like King Kong tyrant, and Goku's just rolling, and then like he just grabs him and just
hurls him
boom, and then like
the screams.
Yeah, kudos to Sean Schemmel.
Good
I'm
job.
pronouncing the last name correctly. Goku's scream sounded painful.
Like, I wanted to cry a little, like when I was watching
like, oh, he's in pain. And then like it just goes into like the just Broly ramming his head on the iceberg, and like
that was reminiscent.
That was the most painful Goku's ever sounded. Like, I've never I can't remember a time when I've been like there was a
I thought
there was
he
a
was
bit of
done.
me where I was like, is Goku dead?
Yeah.
Like, what
Did
is
he just
like,
die already?
what's gonna happen in this movie? Like, did they throw us off with Gogeta?
Did they marvel us?
Oh man, but like Goku's just lying that he looks like he's dead, and then it cuts to Piccolo with that oft forgotten ability that he has of telepathy. He's like, "Hey Goku, what's going on?" And Goku's just like, "Oh hey,
Getting destroyed.
there's a lot going on here." He's like, Piccolo's like, "I'd show up, but I feel like I'm just getting away."
Yeah.
Stand by, we might need you. And Piccolo's like, "What? Why do you need me?" He's like,
Anchor point.
"You know."
Anchor point. Instant transmission.
And that's when, that's when everyone thought Goku was gonna go, but because Goku just lets out this blood-curdling scream, like
he was angry.
more. It was more than the original Super Saiyan 3 transformation. Like,
oh yeah.
and like his hair does flash white for a second.
I'm glad you saw it too, because I was going to say.
I think a lot of people. That was a debate I saw. Was he trying to go Ultra Instinct? Because I think a lot of people were saying like maybe Piccolo. He would have gone if Piccolo hadn't like intervened. That might have brought his consciousness back, and then Goku like tried to go into it. Because
he's never had to be angry for Blue.
Yeah, which. I really liked this Blue transformation. Like, it looked so good.
It does. Like we keep saying, this is a beautiful movie.
The transformations were, like, the finest Dragon Ball has ever put out.
Yeah. It might top the first first Super Saiyan.
But then we get, as we will see is customary with a character transforming into Super Saiyan Blue, CG!
Yeah, that was...
It's jarring.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. It looks good. For CG, like the CG, if you showed me that CG cutscene by itself, I would be like, yeah, okay, that looks pretty good for computer animation. But yeah, then that's when Broly destroys all the ice, and we get into Mario Lava World that we see.
Ice World, Lava World. This is a boss fight. It's got to be in the lava
honestly.
world.
And then after that, that's when. We cut to Frieza and Paragus again.
Oh, during the transformation, I like that Frieza put a shield around himself only. And
Oh yeah!
Paragus
Oh yeah! Paragus gets blown back, and Frieza's like, "Yeah, I'll protect myself." But yeah, so we get to this point where like like Goku and Broly are fighting in the distance, but then Frieza kind of goes to Paragus. He's like, "Do you think it's really over this time?" And Paragus is like, "Yes, I genuinely think that this is the extent of Broly's power." And then Frieza. He gives his, "I'm not so sure," and then you see the flash to when Frieza killed Krillin and Goku and Super Saiyan. And then the juxtaposition in this scene was amazing, because we go from this like ominous Paragus has gotten his karma handed to him when Frieza just turns to him and just death beams him in the chest. And you see Paragus die, because I was curious when when I found out it was Broly. I was like, oh well, is Paragus gonna live this time? What's gonna happen to him if he dies? How's it gonna happen?
Is it gonna be Broly again?
That scene gave me my answer. And then
Frieza. This is why I love Frieza as a villain. He's the best villain that Dragon Ball has.
Turns around, Broly, oh no, your father's dead. It's so tragic. Look,
a stray beam got him.
Stray beam. And then Broly's like, huh? But then, right from that scene, that was hilarious. Like, I've never seen a death scene so widely regarded as hilarious. But that scene was hilarious.
It was.
And then it goes immediately to Broly just, like, seeing his father dead. And he just gets that wave of anger and despair. But then that's when Broly goes Super Saiyan.
And that's when we get that.
Regular Super Saiyan.
Yeah, not green. Not legendary.
Add, he did not go green legendary Super Saiyan.
So that means legendary Super Saiyan.
He did eventually.
Yeah. Oh, did he?
Yeah. It was weird. I want to talk about that when we get to it.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
So that's when we get to Vegeta steps in. He's like, Kakarot, you can't handle this yourself. I'm going to go blue now, and it's going to be CG again.
Yeah.
And I was like,
blue just brings out the CG.
Yeah. It was every time someone went into blue. It was no other time.
Blue. I guess the
maybe it was like when a character passed a certain power, threshold.
The world
that
has
like
changed.
the 2D animation couldn't handle it. They had to go to 3 dimensions with the power.
They just kept drawing and it just broke.
Because they do it again when Gogeta, when he's just in regular Super Saiyan form. So like maybe it's just like a power threshold. I don't know. But then comes another very good scene of just Goku and Vegeta are going. They realize they're not getting anywhere on Broly. You see a shot of Frieza, and they just rise up, and Goku just, have fun, Frieza! And then we see the scene from the trailer of Frieza just going, what the? And then Broly just
comes up and
boom!
into a mountain.
It was amazing!
I feel like all the
That was my favorite scene. Like, my theater, the first time I saw it was packed. Like, it just erupted into laughter of just Frieza like, what? What? Boom!
Look, in all honesty, all the bad things that Frieza has ever done in his life, karma just came back in this, in the form of Broly.
And then, that's when Goku and Vegeta instant transmission out to Piccolo. And then they do, did you watch Fusion Reborn, the original Gogeta movie?
Yeah.
They do the callback to that when Goku's like, we gotta do the fusion dance. And Vegeta's like, what?
I heard Trunks talk about it.
And then he shows him and Vegeta's like, that's embarrassing. I don't want to do that. And then like Goku pulls the Bulma card and the Bola card.
Yeah, good for
And Vegeta's
him.
even like, don't do that. Don't do that to me.
His precious Bulma.
And then, they cut back to Frieza getting his ass kicked by Broly.
Just getting punched into a mountain.
And then it cuts back to them doing the fusion dance. And, we get the classic. If you've seen Fusion Reborn, we get Veku, very fat Gogeta. And then Piccolo's just like, your fingers are slightly off. Another 30 minutes. And then we're like, oh man, what are they going to do that? Immediate cut back to Frieza getting punched back into a mountain by Broly. I think he's in his golden form by now.
No, he now goes into his golden form.
Yeah, he's like, witness golden Frieza, you've made me do this, Broly. And then we cut back to Fusion, ha! And then we get skinny Gogeta, and he's like, your angles were off. Another 30 minutes. All right, well, what's going on with Frieza and Broly? Bam! 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 Mountain!
I think it was only because of golden form that Frieza was alive.
He's certainly gotten over the stamina problem.
Yeah.
Because with how long that took, and I think that is the legitimate longest fight in Dragon Ball. Even the Tournament of Power was only 48 minutes.
Because no one's gone past an hour. Because the destruction of Namek was just 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Give or take a couple. But yeah, like, I think this is canonically the longest fight.
Yeah, which means Frieza.
An hour.
Which means Frieza and Broly are...
Good on him for surviving. And then we get the final fusion dance. The tips touch, the angle's correct.
Everything.
We get Gogeta. And then he instant transmissions out. And then I like Frieza's just like,
in the wall. He's in the wall. Just
ow. And then we get the shot of Broly fighting Whis. And I like Whis just like, whoop, whoop, almost got me. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Come on.
So that brings up the question, does that mean Ultra Instinct is better than Broly? Because,
I'd assume.
Yeah.
But then I love when Gogeta comes in, and Frieza's like, who are you? He's like, we're Gogeta. You were dead for a long time, so you wouldn't know about the fusion technique. He's like, that's not fair. You can't do that. That's hacks.
He was so mad.
Like, we're gonna take care of this now. And then he appears in front of Whis, and Whis just like, oh, so you two finally can work together. And then that's when, the poster fight starts. Gogeta versus Broly. And, we're still Super Saiyan Broly. They're going, like, I know we've said every fight, this fight's beautiful. This fight's beautiful. Ugh, this one. They did it right. They put their efforts into this one. And it shows. Like, just the shots in this with like Gogeta doing all his attacks was just so beautiful. And then we get to the point where they break the dimension. They like Gogeta and Broly just have like a beam clash, and then like the world. It's just so powerful. They shattered, and even Gogeta, he's just like, what the? And then what? And then that's when the CG kicks in.
It goes beam.
But it's like during that time that Broly just kind of goes green. It just kind of happens there.
Oh,
Like, no one mentions it. It just kind of happens, which that kind of doesn't sit well with me.
yeah.
I didn't really like that.
They should have like made a note.
Like
of
that.
it.
That's the iconic transformation. I mean, they made Kale.
Yeah. Oh.
But like, I don't know. I felt like that should have just happened, like with maybe a little more pomp and circumstance at that point. Like, I didn't notice it until they came out of the dimension. It was because the second time I watched it, I was like, yeah, that's where it happens because his hair changes a bit and the shading.
Oh, I thought it was
changes a
just
bit.
shading.
No, his hair does change a bit.
Oh, okay.
Just a bit. You have to be looking for it.
okay. We're gonna watch this movie again.
Gogeta also goes blue during this time, and then they go, back into
CG.
their dimension. That's when Gogeta just starts going ham on Broly.
I think he was just done. I think that's the Vegeta side of him just being done.
Well, that's the thing is Vegito has more of Vegeta's personality. Gogeta's more Goku.
True.
Which was weird because like it gets to a point where you can make the argument with this movie that like this is Broly's movie.
Yeah.
And so that's the whole thing is like, oh, well, who are you cheering for in this fight? You could cheer for any of them and be right.
Yeah.
Gogeta just starts getting brutal.
Yeah, he just
Like, because he did like this shot I love from the show of just like Gogeta just raising his hands and just the rain of blue beams. That was probably my favorite shot of that fight.
That was a really good one.
He does Stardust Breaker. It's a little different than it originally was.
yeah, it's not rainbowy.
He had like the rainbow ball, and then he just like chucked it at Broly. And then during all of this, that's when Chilai and Lenmo are like,
we gotta do something.
like, Broly's gonna die. We have to save him. And then they summon Shenron. And I like how Frieza's even like, wait, what? And Gogeta's like, huh? Yeah, Broly. And then like Broly is at this point on the receiving end completely. He is getting pummeled.
Yeah.
Like it looks rough. Like it's so one-sided that you feel bad for Broly. And then because you just see Gogeta charging up a Kamehameha, and you're like,
this is the end.
I was like, wait, what? I was like, is Gogeta gonna kill Broly?
Yeah.
Like, I was shocked.
Would that have been Goku's first kill?
Frieza, Resurrection F.
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah, he did kill Frieza.
Yep.
I forgot he killed Frieza. Yeah.
Also characters in Dragon Ball, but I've never seen that, so I don't know. But no, and that's when Chilai, makes the wish, save Broly, return him to his childhood planet, and that's where Broly just
gone,
and then the beam just boom, off the planet, and you can tell Gogeta's kind of like, all right, I know what happened.
He's
and
like,
that's,
I wanted the kill, but I'm fine with this outcome.
Yeah. I think they probably would have revived him anyway.
Probably.
But then Lenmo gets the ship. He's like, come on, Chilai, let's go. And then like Frieza's mad. He's about to blow up, and Gogeta just grabs his hand. He's like, no.
I'll break
and
this.
I like how Frieza just like kind of just like gives him a look of just like scowls and just returns to his final form and just he's like, I'm going home now. I'm getting my toys and I'm leaving. So he's just so mad because he knows he can't hold a candle to Gogeta.
No, because like he couldn't even fight Broly, and they
dominated him. But yeah, and that's
although you could argue maybe Broly was running out of steam. He was fighting for an hour and a half.
Yeah, maybe that's what did. Frieza, the MVP once again.
Just wearing out his fist.
But yeah, and then you get back to Chilai and Lenmo going to live with Broly on Vampa. And it cuts to them being like, man, I don't want to eat this gross bug juice. And then that's when, see...
Now we know Broly can sense battle power.
So, someone is here. And that's when Goku shows up, and he's like, hey guys, what's up? I'm here to give the ending that Kyle was a little apprehensive about.
I predicted.
I knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Admittedly, in the trailer, that line, my favorite line, when he's like, "You're not a bad guy," I was like, "All right, well, Broly's gonna live, whatever." Goku shows up. He gives them, all the like house and stuff, and he just kind of sets them up to live. Nice. And then he has that line at the end where Goku says his Saiyan name for the first time.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard him say the name.
I mean, he's always just kind of let Vegeta call him that.
Yeah.
I think partially out of a, like...
respect for Vegeta and his...
Not even that. I think that too. But I think initially it was probably just he knows that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, so why even
He's
fight
like,
him?
I'm not going to be able to get him to change his mind. But that's the first time where he goes, my name's Goku. Oh, but Broly, call me Kakarot.
I think he likes...
Which I think might have also been a callback to the original Broly movie, but
yeah,
that might have just been them having fun with it. But that was a super cool moment because the movie was always advertised about, not necessarily being about Broly or Frieza or Goku and Vegeta. It was about Saiyans and like their story because the whole fight was like when Saiyans collide or something like that.
Yeah, I think yeah.
And so, I mean, it was pretty cool just to see Goku, after all this time, finally acknowledge
that his name is Kakarot.
That is his true name, and like, it was cool.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was touching.
So that's our plot synopsis of Dragon Ball Super Broly with opinions mixed in.
Yeah.
I had a couple issues with some things. So the main one that I want to talk about. How did Beerus and Whis, how did no one know about Broly?
I think...
because there was the point in the beginning of Super or Battle of Gods where they were in search of the Super Saiyan God, and Whis even says at that point, he's like, oh, well, there's 5 remaining Saiyans on Earth, and like, I get that as far as Frieza was concerned, Vampa was, at the far reaches of the universe, like barely at the edge of the universe, but like, for Whis and Beerus and even like the Kais, like, how did they not know about him? Especially with his power level.
Yeah, I think
they never. Now, to be fair, something I did notice: Beerus and Whis never expressly say, "Oh, well, we didn't know he was there," but it doesn't make sense that they wouldn't have acted on that at any point.
I think because
I think because I know when Beerus meets Goku, he even comments that in Goku's base form, he's like, "There's no way you could have beaten Frieza."
Yeah.
And blah 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 blah. But they would have had to pick up on his power level, and like at some point, like they would have noticed one of Broly's power spikes.
I think it was
that just bothered, because especially then with like the Tournament of Power.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they call on him?
And Universe 6, I was just like,
well, don't forget the Kais didn't keep good track of the power levels of everybody.
Yeah. The Kais aren't very good at keeping track of anything going on in the universe now, are they?
No.
But, like, I don't know. With Beerus looking for the Super Saiyan God, that just kind of...
I think he was too far away. Not to be picked up on the radar. I think it was just... because
Goku was closer, and then they might have just forgotten about it.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Because, remember how long it took them to get to Earth was 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, like, the edge of the universe, who knows how long that would have taken them.
Yeah, I think that was my main... complaints about it. I don't know if you had any after watching it that, like, kind of anything that didn't really sit well with you.
Just that the dragon has never been consistent ever. But
kind of given up on that. Yeah. Well, I think it's been weird with how they wish in Super, and just like with how they've made wishes, because they've done like the you use one now and then a couple months later
the Dragon Balls.
You get one, so like. Maybe they used the Dragon Balls to get 17 as crews at the end of the Tournament of Power, and so they only had one wish left, and I don't know. It's been inconsistent since the Cell Saga.
Yeah.
Because it went from 2 to 3 to 2, I think, again, now to 1, and I don't know. It wouldn't have... That wouldn't have really made a difference in the plot.
No, probably not.
But it's one of those things that I'm just kind of like, can we be consistent here, please?
Yeah.
After watching the movie, I'm more okay with Broly still being around. Initially, when I figured out that Broly was going to be around, I was like, because I didn't want him to be able to come back, just because he is just a he's
a powerhouse.
He's a power wall. He's a power wall with character now.
Yes, which I like.
Yes.
Which they might be able to develop on later, like say like they're trying to rein in
with the new arc in the manga with Goat Demon Man who devours planets to gain his power. I could see how they would integrate Broly into that plot, like with Vampa, and him being like, oh, that planet has a very strong power source, and then it's
Yum,
just
yum.
Broly. I don't want him to come back that soon, though.
True.
I don't want him to be a reoccurring character. I want him to show up at one point and like save the day like that way.
Yeah, like he's finally learned how to
Yeah.
control everything.
Like kind of like Kale. Did
yeah.
a bit. Like that'd be cool.
Imagine if Goku just like dishes Vegeta for him to be his.
Well, Goku said he's like, I want to teach him some stuff.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know.
He teaches him instant transmission.
I don't want Broly showing up on Earth.
Hey guys, I stubbed my toe and I'm really angry.
But yeah, so I think that covers just about everything.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Good movie.
It's an amazing movie.
Go see it.
I've heard from a couple people who aren't even Dragon Ball fans who absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're not that into Dragon Ball or you haven't really been into Super, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly recommend it. I mean, rating, I'd probably give it 10.
Yeah, I would say a 10.
For a Dragon Ball movie.
Yeah,
I'll say. For a regular movie, but the Dragon Ball movie, 10 out of 10. Like, it was good.
If you're a fan, you're going to enjoy it more. If you're not a fan,
yeah.
you're just going to enjoy the beauty of it and like some of the voice acting, of course.
That's the thing. It is a very self-contained movie because you get the whole history of the Saiyans.
Yeah, oh yeah. With right then and there.
Well, yeah, I think that about covers it for this very lengthy discussion of this movie. If you have any thoughts about Broly, anything you want to add, any points you want to bring up, anything that I probably inevitably got wrong, tweet us at ZTV Goofing Off using the hashtag MovieSnobs. And until then, I'm Kyle Glockner.
And I'm Cameron Button.
And this has been Movie Snobs.